Hi, welcome to Beauty and Beyond. I'm Amy, and today we're going to talk about that Beyond piece, and I'm here to share with you the books that I listened to in the month of August. I have a confession to make. It was worse than I thought it was. When I sat down to take the notes on the books that I read, there were three books that I listened to. Didn't even read a book in the month of August. Wow. I'm going to attribute that to just moving into a new space, getting things set up, starting school with my daughter, and just kind of being out of the habit of reading. So for sure, September will be a much better month. I also want to shout out, thank you to Christy Pope for encouraging me to share my books. I love to talk about my hobbies, and when I sat down and looked at, my book videos and how they do on YouTube, they don't really do very well. But I'm here to just talk to you and chit chat with you. And if this is something that interests you, then just put it on in the background and kind of listen as you go about your business. But I appreciated her words of encouragement to go ahead and share, because there are some people out there in the world who are interested in what I read and maybe what I have to say. So thank you, Christy. I only listened to 3 books. I read 0 amounts of books. But I have a really good one, a medium one, and a very bad one. I'm going to start out with the worst of the 3 books that I listened to in August, and I was actually really surprised because I have read many physical books in the Hannah Swenson series written by Joanne Fluke. I have also seen many of the Hallmark movies that are based off of these books. And so I was very excited when I found an audio version of, one of these Hannah Swenson books. And it was the Pink Lemonade Cake Murder. I'm going to start out by saying that I'm generally a nice person. And I generally don't talk too bad about people. I am a Christian after all. And so generally I'm a nice person, but I'm going to say that most of my issue with this was the narrator. And I'm so sorry to the narrator, but I did not enjoy it at all. Her inflection and her tone and the way that she represented each character was very flighty. Like Hannah Swenson in the movies is a strong woman character, but in this book and listening to the audio version, she's kind of like ditzy sounding. But I will also say, not only did this narrator not do very good justice to the characters and the story and the setting and all of that, but I also really didn't like the plot of this book. And I feel like this book may be the pinnacle of this relationship that she has with these 2 men, where she can't decide which one that she wants to be with, and so she kind of goes back and forth, and she likes both of them, but she can't figure out which one she wants. I feel like at this point in this book, of all the ones that I've read, this is the point where I'm like, okay, it's getting too much, because in the story, Mike, which one is the one that's the cop, kind of removes himself from social situations, takes a leave of absence from his job, and Hannah is off with the other guy and not paying it, giving him the space that he needs and not trying. And I guess I feel like as a reader, I'm ready for her to choose which one she wants, one or none of them. And I also didn't ever really understand why Mike was upset and why he left his job for a little while. All in all, it was a pass for me, hard pass. And I feel like a lot of other people felt the same way, because on Goodreads, it did not get very good ratings. A lot of people said many of the same things that I did, that this was just a very poorly structured and set up book. Not good. But on the flip side of the worst book was really the best one that I read. And it was The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. And this is my second book of Kristen Hanna, and she is an author of historical fiction, which this year is my first year to dive into that genre, and I love it so much because I really do love history. And so I've enjoyed her fictional take on historical time periods, and this one takes place in the 70s, so this was kind of fun because it's historical but not like, you know, too far off. It follows Lenny Albright and her parents, who are wanderers in the 70s. You know, they're like, her parents are sort of carefree, hippie type people. And the dad, I believe, inherits some land and a house in Alaska, so they uproot themselves to Alaska, where they're going to like be homesteaders, and they're going to live off the land. And they get there and they're met with plenty of warnings. Be careful, you have to prepare for the winter, it's worse than you could imagine. So, you know, they really have to sort of be self-sufficient in this stage in their life. And this is really a coming of age story for Lenny, or Lenora is her real name. Lenny is very, very bright and excited to start school in this very small town, and you know, she's sort of a social outcast because she's moved so much because her parents move a lot. But she meets a guy that's her age, and you know, it's sort of the mini love story. I will say it was very slow for the first half, and then once I reached that 50% mark, it took off. Stick with it because it's worth it in the end. I will say there is a really volatile family dynamic in this book, and you know, this might be like a trigger for some people, so I would definitely maybe like dive into some of the reviews of the book to see if this might be something that triggers you, because there's definitely heavy drinking and abuse in this book, so you definitely want to check that out. But I love the ending. I love how Kristen Hanna brought it all together. I'll just leave it at that. And one that I feel like was sort of like the comeback kid was The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. I was actually listening to this as we were moving from Texas to Missouri, and it was kind of one of those books where I was totally lost, and I got like an hour into it and I had no idea what was going on. So I just put it in my abandoned list and returned it back to the library and whatever. I'm sort of on this mission though to pick back up most of my abandoned books to try to finish them, because some of them are just kind of like that, where I was listening to it and then I had no idea what was going on and kind of just forgot about it. I do plan on later in the year, towards the end of the year, doing a video of all the books that I abandoned and why. So I really want for there to be a good why, not just because I was confused about the plot. The Family Upstairs, there's actually another book in this series. So this is the first one, and there's a second one too. And as you know it, I'm in here, I'm talking and I'm filming, and the dogs are playing. Yeah. So in my defense, this really is a very intricate plot. It takes place over different time periods, and there are at least 3 main women characters. And it is a British person that's narrating, so you know, it is very kind of hard to follow which woman is reading at the time and who is that person in the story. It ended up being a very, very cool book, and I liked how it ended, but I'm satisfied enough with the ending that I'm not really interested in reading the second one. But that's just my opinion. This book follows Libby Jones, who is at the age of 25, ends up inheriting a mansion in Chelsea. So she goes from rags to riches, basically. She doesn't know who her parents are, and so she's really hoping that inheriting this mansion will take her on a journey to discovering, you know, who she is and where she came from. But then you also have this other plot line of 25 years earlier, there was a murder-suicide in this house. There was a cult that was living in the house, and the home belonged to a family. And then I think maybe due to some financial struggles or whatever, they invited a man and a woman and a kid to come live with them. And then that family, well, the two adults, ended up sort of like taking over the house and kind of creating this cult-like environment. And so it kind of goes back and forth between Libby's timeline and this other lady that it's following and this 25 years, earlier timeline. So in the end, I was able to follow along enough with it to make it to the end, and I did enjoy it. It was a very good book and very suspenseful. And again, because there is this cult environment, and there's this air of maybe not physical abuse, but it's definitely emotional abuse. So, I would definitely maybe just kind of check it out and read some other reviews and investigate it so that, you know whether or not it's the right book for you to listen to. So, those are the 3. This month in September so far, I have read 1 book. I'm starting on another one, and maybe 2 audios so far. So, I'm doing pretty good. I'll have more to talk to you about next month. Thank you so much, and don't forget to let me know below if you like my book content and, what your favorite thing that you read in August was. See you later. Bye.
Damn.